Hey, it's Jason here, CEO of Bright Utilities as well as B&B Professional Plumbing and Air. And in this video, I want to talk to you about 100% seller finance. 100% seller finance deals, where they tend to come from, how to get into a position where you're buying a deal with 100% seller finance, and some of the risks associated with this kind of a structure. All right, so first thing I can say is the longer I go into the future building my and our resume, if you will, as deal makers. We've done 4 deals at this point over the last 2 years. And as we continue to move forward and build that deal making as well as that operational track record, and that operational track record is really important for seller finance, by the way, because that's what the seller uses to lean on as the credibility that they're going to get paid back. But as we continue to build that track record, we have more and more opportunities where we get large amounts of seller finance proposed to us, or where sellers are agreeing with that deal structure. And recently here we had an offer to do 100% seller finance. And by the way, if you have been paying attention, we closed a 100% seller finance deal back in August of 2021 for an HVAC company. Okay, so what's the deal here? Because if you watch my older videos, I basically told many of you that 100% seller finance is largely a pipe dream. And what I would edit my comments to be is it's largely a pipe dream if you lack the track record of making deals happen and then operating them post-close. That's where I believe it's still largely a pipe dream. However, there's always a way to get 100% seller finance done. And the way I see it happening in my world is largely with deals that are distressed, where the company has a problem. Maybe the books are bad, maybe the tax returns are messy, maybe it's losing money, maybe it has employee problems. Fill in the blank as far as why, but usually a 100% seller finance deal is capable of being negotiated to that point, meaning you can negotiate for 100% seller finance if that business is distressed, which will then motivate the seller to sell as soon as possible before the business bankrupts or continues to lose its value. Now, there could be a scenario wherein a seller becomes interested in 100% seller finance simply because he's really motivated to sell and he doesn't care. But in my experience, usually the seller really cares about the terms, really cares about the price, and really is doing 100% seller finance because they realized that through your diligence process, you found out just about everything you're going to find. And now they have no leverage. And here's the thing I can share about seller finance from my own experience. We've gotten 2 sellers in the last 6 months to agree to do 100% seller finance terms. One of the deals we decided to do, the other we walked away from. In both cases, we agreed to that deal structure after diligence, not before diligence. What's the takeaway here? The takeaway here is you usually find things during diligence, which changes the conversation to the point where suddenly now a seller is willing to do seller finance, whereas before they were looking for a lot of cash up front. Usually skeletons come out of the closet, things get revealed, and during that process of things coming out of the closet and things getting revealed, the seller changes his or her tune, realizes they lack the leverage they thought they had, and at that point, they're willing to sell the business at 100% seller finance or very near 100% seller finance. So here's the deal with seller finance, 100% seller finance most notably, and this is what we're talking about here. Companies that you can buy with 100% seller finance are almost always going to have fleas, problems. They're going to have some distress going on within the business. And so building your business plan simply to target companies with 100% seller finance, in my opinion, is a risky business plan. Although if you're a great operator and you're a turnaround expert, then maybe it's the right plan for you. But if you don't have operational experience, if you've not turned around a company before, then buying companies with 100% seller finance is going to put you in a position to have to perform in a way you've never performed before because of the fact that you're going to have to turn around a live business in real time, a business that may be bleeding cash the day you buy it. And that may be bleeding cash before you stack debt onto it. Right? Now, what I would say to you is I think 100% seller finance deals, especially assuming they are distressed, make a lot more sense as a bolt-on acquisition than they do as the foundational acquisition. Okay, so when we enter a market with Bright Utilities, And you can look at what we've done in Tampa Bay, where we've pretty much rolled up Tampa Bay now. We've done 3 acquisitions in Tampa Bay we did 3 acquisitions in less than a year. We did the foundational acquisition, right, of B&B Professional Plumbing. We then brought 2 HVAC companies that we bolted on to B&B, right? You see my B&B shirt on here. Okay, so B&B was the foundational acquisition. That one we did through traditional finance. Built that strong foundation. Then we added 2 bolt-on acquisitions to bring in the 2 HVAC divisions we wanted, the service side and the mechanical side. We bolted those on. One of those 2 bolt-on HVAC acquisitions happened to be 100% seller finance. The other we paid cash for, but we negotiated that down to be a pretty damn affordable price. Okay? Those were 2 businesses that candidly had some distress going on. They were great businesses, but they were past their prime, if you will, and we needed to do things to get them back to their best, and we're still working to get them back to their best. But the point I'm making is it's a lot easier to do those kinds of deals where maybe there are problems with the company when you have a strong foundation to set those companies on top of. I would not have gone into the Tampa Bay market and done my first deal with a business that was highly distressed, that may have been more easy to negotiate 100% seller finance. Okay? That's my strategy. You don't have to agree with that, but that's what we're doing, and that's working for us. All of that being said, the way you're really going to get 100% seller finance is by taking the long route. By the long route, again, what I mean is you're probably going to negotiate a purchase price. Okay, we'll buy your business, say, for $2 million. Okay, great. 80% of that is going to be paid out in cash. The final 20% is going to be in seller finance. Okay, great. Put it in a contract. Sign it. Okay, we got a contract. Very good. Now, we're going to go into diligence, and assuming everything cleans up in diligence, we'll close on that transaction. Okay, sounds good, says the seller. You go into diligence, you look around for 30 days, you ask for financial records, you look at employee files, you look at all types of different files and documentation relating to the business, and after, say, 30 days of diligence, you find fleas, you find problems, you find skeletons in the closet. At that point, you go back to the seller and say, I am not interested in doing the deal on these initial terms because I found X, Y, and Z, and therefore I'm not interested in proceeding with the deal. You say, if you need these terms to take place, why don't you find a different buyer? At this point, usually a motivated seller will say, whoa, what are you doing? Easy now, Tiger. Let's not walk away from this thing. Why don't we try to work a different deal? And at that point, you can come in and say something to the effect of, okay, we'll still buy your business for $2 million. Or, hey, do you know what? We're going to need to knock the price down from $2 million to $1.5 million, and we're going to expect you to finance the transaction. Either 90% of it or 80% of it, or hey, we need you to finance every single wooden nickel because we're going to have to go raise working capital to keep this thing going so we can turn this business around. Okay, and here's the thing with 100% seller finance deals as well. Okay, so first of all, that's how I would negotiate it. You come to the price that you think you would buy the business for, assume for a minute that it's going to be a good business, and then only if you realize it's not a good when I say not a good business, meaning there's a lot of problems, only when you find these problems, these specific problems you can point to, at that moment do you then go and negotiate for more seller finance or maybe 100% seller finance. That's what we've done. That's worked for us. We've done that 2 times here in the last 6 months. We did it back in August. We've done it again here in January of 2022. The August deal we closed. The January 2022 deal we decided to walk away from. And here's the reason why we've walked away from the recent deal. And here's the thing you have to think about as well. Any business that's going to have a turnaround component to it is going to need working capital. Well, first of all businesses need operational capital, right? It's almost like you as an individual. You need some amount of money in the bank account to be able to pay for rent, be able to pay for your car payment, to be able to pay for food, for this, for that, for whatever. Okay, same thing in running a business, except you need a lot more money in your operating account than you would if you're just operating as an individual. Okay, so whereas for maybe you're comfortable with having $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 in the bank account, for a business it probably needs 50 or 100 or 150 or 250 grand, and that's for a small to mid-sized business. I mean, if it's any real-sized business, it's going to need 7 figures of cash in the bank account or more. Okay, great. What's the point? Point is, any business needs capital, and if it's a turnaround business whereby you're getting 100% seller finance because the business is distressed, then in that event, you better have a lot of capital in the bank account relative to the business's size and how much revenue it's doing, because you got to expect there's going to be a burn rate of, say, 3 or 6 or 9 months until you can turn that business around. You're turning the wheel, you're turning the barge, but it's a big ship and it's not going to turn quick, right? And this is where your operational prowess comes into play, and maybe your industry expert can guide you and your historical experience as an entrepreneur or as a business person helps guide you in realizing or understanding and in forecasting. That's really the key word, forecasting, how long it's going to take for you to turn around the ship. And the ship, I mean the distressed business, and turning it from a cash flow negative business into a cash flow positive business. But all that being said, you got to plan for having more capital to turn that ship around. Okay, so you're still going to raise capital in a 100% seller finance deal almost in every circumstance. Okay, so yeah, you can finance 100% of the purchase price through seller finance, but like our deal we did back in August, that was 100% seller finance. Okay, we did the deal with 100% seller finance, but then we went and raised working capital because we knew we were going to need to have capital in the bank account to run this thing. How are we going to make payroll the following Friday? Now, there's ways to do it whereby you inherit the cash from the business and roll that into the transaction. There's stuff like that you can do as well. You can talk to your lawyer about that. I'm not going to talk about that in this conversation. But my point to you is as follows. One, I've changed my opinion on seller finance, especially as we build more operational confidence and more of an operational track record and more of a deal-making track record. And as we continue to repay every single obligation we've ever made on time every single month, we are being given these types of opportunities that when I was getting started, I wasn't getting. Okay, so in going from 0 to 1, very difficult, I think, to get 100% seller finance. Now that we have done, we did our second deal, we did our third deal, we've done our fourth deal, we're negotiating another deal right now, right? We're truly in the game, and we've been in the game for years now. Now that we're at that place, we get seller finance offers more regularly, or rather I should say, we're able to negotiate two highly leveraged seller finance positions. Okay, normally we start with the majority of the cash getting paid out as cash at the closing table. When we go into diligence, we figure out the truth, and when we find fleas, we negotiate that seller finance, and usually sellers will reluctantly agree. And then we have to decide if it still makes sense for us, because we're still going to have to go out and raise working capital to keep the engine flowing, to keep enough oil in the engine, if you will, so that we can run the business and turn it around. Okay, so those are the key things I would think about when you're thinking about 100% seller finance or highly leveraged first position seller finance notes to buy businesses. All right, I know that was a lot. That's why I have a YouTube channel, and that's why I have my website, jasonpaulrogers.com. But for this one, if you've liked the video, thumbs it up. All right, share your comments below. What do you want me to talk about next? Please share in the comments below so I can try to help you all in any way I possibly can. Again, jasonpaulrogers.com for more information. And I will talk to you in the next video. And by the way, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you've not already, all right? Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.